Welcome to the big show. This is Investing with Confidence. I am your host, Joshua David, and we are happy to have you with us today. As always, I have my good friend, my good pal, Mr. Al Connickson. Al, how are you doing today?
Feeling fantastic on what feels like a nice crisp fall day here in Minnesota.
Johnny Cash again today?
Yeah, I am. I'm honoring Johnny Cash.
I'll tell you what.
I have two black shirts, by the way. This
Oh,
isn't
there
the
you
only
go.
one.
But you're not going to be singing, or you are? Which one is it?
I will not be singing.
All right, that's good.
You hear that round of applause out there?
Yeah, wrong station today, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's always great to be back, helping our listeners making smarter and better investing decisions. An online trading academy, the sponsor of Investing with Confidence, a world leader in trading and investing education, teaching people just like you stocks, options, futures, Forex, how to use them for income potential, but also utilizing all these markets with your wealth bucket as well. 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, whatever that may be, whatever account that you're using in the market, Online Trading Academy teaches skills and techniques for that. And Al, we had a phenomenal week in these markets. Once again, I think I say that every single week because every week is phenomenal because it doesn't matter if it's going up and it doesn't matter if it's going down. And just looking at the S&P 500 this week, wow, came roaring back, but right into a supply zone. And we're going to talk about that here coming up, where potential sellers could be sitting or residing. So, you know what? We have some great movements, but we want to be careful with what's happening here. Getting into oil. I'll tell you what, I looked at the gas pumps today. That is rising again.
Right.
Oil is continuing to climb, closing the week at about $82.50 per barrel. Energy, obviously, energy's been, that's part of the energy market.
Right.
Closing the XLE ETF. That's some of the things that we're going to talk about here today, closing at 57.33 on the week. But the dollar has been driving a lot of these movements up and down. And we've seen some supply coming into the market with the U.S. dollar driving that down, which is impacting these stock markets and shooting them up. But tell you what, though, cryptocurrency, that is back.
On fire.
It is roaring. But I tell you what, though, Bitcoin hit that $62,000 per Bitcoin area, right into a supply zone where it's having a tough time getting through. And that's what we're going to talk about here today on Investing with Confidence, is how to take the markets and utilize them to make smarter investing decisions. Al, I threw a lot at the listeners right now. What do you think is happening with the markets?
Well, I'll tell you what's happening. We have gone through a bit of a change. We went through a rough September. Markets were a little rough in September. And then this last week was earnings season for the banks, and the big banks came out with some huge numbers. Goldman Sachs just had, you talk about William Shatner being sent into space. Well, so was the price of Goldman Sachs
There you
stock.
go.
Yeah, that's up 54% for the year. I think it's maybe the number one stock. But on Friday, when the market went up, this market, because of the bank reporting the numbers that they reported, it's really kind of changed the feeling that people have. It shows more strength in the economy, maybe than we thought that we had before, and it looks like it's going to be a great end of the year. And typically, when we go into the latter part of October through actually into the beginning of next year, that's typically a good time of the year for the market. So, but Goldman Sachs was actually, the Dow is a price-weighted index. And what that means is that the points that the Dow moves is based on the price of the stocks, and then there's a divisor that's used, and I won't go into detail there. But basically what it means is that for every dollar move in a stock, it counts for about 6.8 points in the Dow. Goldman Sachs was responsible for 380 Dow points this last week. So, but the banks are looking good. That shows that the economy is relatively strong. But people are still concerned about inflation.
Yeah.
You just mentioned that the cost of food, the cost of energy, gas. We're going into the winter season, and the cost of heating your home is going to go up significantly this year. So there's a lot of things there. We have a supply chain issue. We've got the demand is there. It's just we don't have the products to fill the demand for Christmas, for example. So we'll be watching a lot of things. We'll be watching inflation. We'll be watching what's happening with China. We'll be watching what's happening with the debt ceiling again. So there's a number of things out there that are going to cause volatility, which we always talk about as being our friend.
Yep.
It's just basically moving prices of whatever it is into a buying area or a selling area faster, which gives us greater opportunities.
Yeah, and I kicked the show off and I asked you if you're going to sing. I'm glad you're not, but I am going to today because it's a beautiful day. The markets are
Well, maybe I will sing because
phenomenal.
I don't think I'm any worse than that.
I tell you what, you brought some great points up with inflation, the cost of food going up. I heard on the news last night the cost of scallops. I love scallops, up 30% right now.
Yeah.
So everything is going up. The heating your home is going to get more expensive. So we need a plan or a strategy to combat inflation. Our listeners need that plan. I tell you what, I have a solution to that plan. I have a solution of an investing class that we're doing right now. It's a workshop that you can do several times per day online. I like to make it easy for everybody. Talk about all the tools the institutions use for income potential. It's 45 minutes, a powerful, comprehensive class. Go online and select a virtual class right now. Go to otamin.com. That's OTAMINN.com. Or you can call 952-814-4410. That's 952-814-4410. When you do that, you're also going to receive a financial quick start kit. This will actually help you get started right away. Al, coming up next, I want to continue this discussion. These segments go by so fast about inflation, income potential, how we can help our listeners combat this inflation issue, gas prices going up, and do that with the markets and have the opportunity to know more on what to do. 952-814-4410 or otamin.com. That's OTAMINN.com. This is Josh and Al, Investing with Confidence. We'll be right back. We're going to stay on the video. Stay live on the video. You know, it's funny. I've been doing all that stuff all along. I haven't stopped.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back shortly for everybody on YouTube. Thanks, Denny, and welcome back to Investing with Confidence. As always, I am your host, Joshua David, talking about the do's and the don'ts of the financial markets. When we talk about the financial markets, that's all the markets. Stocks, options, futures, Forex, cryptocurrency. It doesn't matter what that market is of your choice. Learn the skills and techniques to utilize those for income potential or managing and protecting your wealth bucket, 401ks, IRAs, whatever that retirement account is. If you happen to miss passes to this free virtual class that we're doing right now, it's a workshop. It's only 45 minutes. You can do this from the comfort of your own home. We have several per day. Just go to otamin.com. That's OTAMINN.com, or you can just call 952-814-4420. When you do that, we'll figure out a date, but it will also give you a quick start kit. There's some topics in there, how to, there's 3 retirement strategies that Wall Street doesn't talk about, but I also there's part of that is a cryptocurrency foundations course. Mm-hmm. And Al, we talked about inflation on the last segment. I mean, cost of food is skyrocketing. I'm supposed to be going out to dinner tonight. I might be eating crackers and soup. Who knows, right? But you know what? There's ways that our listeners are looking for to combat that inflation. Ways to have income potential in the market to kind of hedge that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about it this way. If people drive a lot, they can use the market with oil, right?
Right.
If oil is skyrocketing right now, there's potential there to hedge your gas prices, right? So let's keep that discussion going about ways our listeners can, learn strategies and techniques for income potential, but using their capital wisely and efficiently.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of different things you can do. We want our students to almost adopt a "I don't care" attitude. Regardless of what's happening in the economy, regardless of what's happening in the markets, there are ways of participating in a potentially beneficial way for you. The market goes three different directions. We know that. Most people are only participating in one, which is not, I mean, that reduces your odds right there from 1 out of 3 instead of 3 out of 3. Our students know how to participate in 3 out of 3 of those directions, which increases the odds. As far as inflation, there are certain investments that are going to perform better during inflationary periods. Those are the things that all come from the proper education. But the bottom line is, no matter what you are doing, no matter what the market is doing, no matter what the economy is doing, as an investor or trader, the three things that are important to you with any individual trade or investment you make, you want one of three things or all three things to happen. You want price to go up after you get into something. You want to not lose, or if you're wrong, and by the way, everybody will be wrong at some point in time, minimize that loss. A small loss can never become a big loss. And then you also want to know how to understand how to identify a realistic profit that gives you the greatest potential for the greatest amount of profit for any individual trade. And the way you do that is to understand what impacts price and who impacts price. What makes price go up? What makes price go down? Something has to do that. And in trading and investing, price always will go up when there are more buyers than sellers. Price will always go down when there are more sellers than buyers. So the real important thing for you, if you want to have success as a trader or investor, if you want that potential, is to know how to identify where those buyers and where those sellers are. Our students use that or know how to do that because they use a strategy called core strategy. It's a foundational investment strategy that you use no matter what asset you're trading, no matter whether the market is going up or the market is going down or sideways. And what it does is it helps you to identify precise points to enter a trade and to exit a trade that follows or completes those things I mentioned. It minimizes your risk and maximizes your potential. If you don't have a way of doing that, if you don't have a way of accurately identifying those points, those price points, then you're gambling. You're just wishing and hoping that whatever you do works out in your favor. And those are things that should never be part of your plan, your investment plan,
You're
or
right.
strategy.
I'm glad you brought up those couple different directions, up and down. The market's been going up. We have a lot of listeners that are probably invested in individual stocks. For instance, I mean, looking at the Facebook stock, that's actually down about 15% in the last month. So, but the good thing is there's opportunities with that down 15% in the month. It's called shorting. Going back to inflation, we were talking a lot about inflation. A lot of people think, well, hey, gold is that hedge against that inflation. It's actually not correlating to be the same thing. Gold is roughly down about 14% on the year almost, back since, we'll say around April or so.
Yeah.
So these markets, we're trained to condition to do certain things, but things change over time.
Yep.
And you can't do the same things over and over. And that's the definition of poor, is passing over opportunities regularly, but are these opportunities the right ones or the wrong ones?
Right.
So if you want to learn more about that, learn more about how to hedge against inflation, protect yourself from inflation, you can just call 952-814-4410. We're doing investing classes. These workshops are 45 minutes. They're from home, so anybody can do this. We're allowing anybody, hey, if you want to stay home and do these classes, you can do that. You got to call right now or go to otamin.com. That's our website, OTAMINN, and schedule a date for this virtual class. You can do that right now. We have several per day, and these are live classes talking about supply and demand, as Al was talking about, different markets for income potential. Just go to otamin.com or call 952 814-4410. Al, we're talking about this income potential in the markets. How do we use that? What are the right assets to use? We covered a couple stocks there with their, especially Facebook. It's not correlating with the market. It's not going up with it, right? So our listeners need to understand what are the right ones. And I kicked this segment off to utilize and use your capital efficiency. Talk about some of those different markets.
Yeah, well, think about it. If you were interviewing for a job and the person interviewing you said, you know what, we really want to hire you, and here's what we're going to do. You come to work, it's a full-time job, and we're going to pay you in 10 years.
That doesn't make any sense to me, Al.
No,
You're confusing me now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that company would have a hard time getting employees. Well, that's kind of what you do with your investments. Most of you are in a portfolio or investment style strategy that is long-term. That's what your financial advisor would tell you. Don't worry about any of the short-term things because you're in it for the long term. Well, income typically means it's something that you need on a short-term basis. If you need extra cash for something, if your goals are short-term, then how do you use a long-term portfolio strategy for that? You don't. There are assets you can use that are short-term in nature, and they also have a great benefit called leverage. So they may be a position that you're into for a day or a couple of days or maybe a week or so, but with leverage.
But that's not day trading, Al, is it?
No, it's not day trading.
Yeah.
Look, some people want to day trade. That's fine.
That's a thing of the past, in my opinion.
More and more people are looking at doing this more passively especially because of the COVID issue and people spending more time away from work. All of a sudden, people's time becomes more valuable.
Yeah.
And they want to spend more time maybe with their family. They're finally realizing, hey, my family's not so bad. Maybe I want to spend more time with them.
With that in mind, just explain real quick, how does somebody get an investment so they don't have to be at their computer and sweating and smoking a cigar?
Right. Well, our goal is to help you maximize the use of your time, the value of your time, by minimizing or simplifying the investment process. And what we don't want, most of our students don't want, is just as Josh mentioned, sitting in front of a computer all day long watching something. That will drive you crazy. How do I know that? Because in the past, I've done that. And basically, you will spend all day watching something with your fingers crossed or making promises that you're never going to keep. The way to do this is, as I mentioned before, use a strategy that shows you how to identify where the buyers and the sellers are. And they have to be buyers and sellers that can do it in a large enough quantity to move the price of something. That's Wall Street. That's the big banks. That's Goldman Sachs.
Who do we want to
JP
trade
Morgan.
like?
You want to trade like them. You want to trade like Warren Buffett, like the smart money. We call these guys the smart money. And it just makes sense. If somebody is successful at something and somebody else is unsuccessful, which one do you want to copy? It's obviously the successful one.
They are always making money in the markets no matter what happens.
Exactly. Because they know, well, actually, not only do they know how the markets function, they move the market. They actually have enough money to move price of something. If they want to do that, they can do it. Can they manipulate the market? Absolutely. But if they're manipulating it, we want to make sure that we are prepared to participate at the point that they are manipulating the market too, if that makes sense. But it's basically just following the people that are moving the price of something. And a lot of people out there right now might be saying, well, this market is so highly valued, I missed everything. You mentioned Facebook and gold. Here's something I think that's going to be surprising to people. The number of companies within the S&P 500 that have had a 10% or greater drawdown from their year-to-date high is 91%.
Wow.
In the NASDAQ, it's 90%. Russell 2000, 98%.
So basically, the majority of the stocks that are in there are down.
Exactly. So that's why I mentioned Goldman Sachs was responsible for 380 points in the Dow. The big companies are the ones that are impacting what we see, the numbers, when you look at the S&P 500 or the Dow. But the reason I mentioned that is that there's a lot of opportunities out there. You don't have to worry about just participating in these high-flying stocks. And here's something else to remember. There's no company that is so good that its price can't be so high that it's no longer a good investment. There's a lot of opportunities out there. And then from an income standpoint, we show you how to use assets that are really created to be short-term with leverage. And we're talking about the futures market, the foreign exchange market, the options market. What's leverage? It's taking $1 and multiplying the value of it, multiplying how much of an investment it can control. That's leverage that is allowed by the brokers for all of us. The same thing the institutions are using, same thing we can use. It's just nobody's been teaching you about that. That's what we do.
Yeah, and that's the key of understanding which assets to trade as well. If markets are at, I mean, technically you can call them, they're still at all-time highs.
Absolutely.
But you know what? We are starting a downtrend, which is another opportunity. They've been going up. If they continue to go down, that's an opportunity. So embrace up and down markets. But you'll have to learn to use the right tools, the right assets for that short-term income potential, which would be that futures market, the Forex market. In these virtual classes, we cover what these are. Some of these terms might be new to some people. We cover what the futures market is, the Forex market, options, how to utilize these for income potential and maximize the capital that you do have. And we've been talking a lot about inflation. It is time to combat this inflation thing we have going on right now. Learn the skills and the tools to do that, which would be having income potential. So we have these 45-minute powerful and comprehensive investing classes, these workshops online you can do from home. We have several per day. You can go right to our website, which is otamin.com. That's OTAMINN.com. All you got to do is pick a date for this virtual class. You can do it from home, from the comfort of that good old lazy boy. You can also call 952-814-4410. That's 952-814-4410 and pick a date with one of our representatives. Coming up next, I want to continue talking about inflation and refer that to more of a wealth strategy, how we can utilize the right assets to create, protect, and build wealth. 952-814-4410 or otamin.com for this free virtual investing class, which is 45 minutes you can do from your own home. This is Josh and Al. We'll be right back. Weather in a minute and a half. Yeah. Mm. Welcome back to Investing with Confidence. I am your host, Joshua David, and we have a live section here today. We have a good, fun time here talking about stocks, options, futures, Forex. We were just talking about some different ways and techniques for income potential, really to combat this inflation that's happening that's going to probably continue. How do we utilize the markets to have the potential or opportunity to hedge that? If you happen to miss the workshop that we're doing online, we have a virtual workshop. It's only 45 minutes. Everybody can do this from their own home. You can just go to otamin.com. That's otamin.com minn.com. Goes through how to time the market by letting price come to you and our step-by-step rules-based strategy for trading any asset in any market. You can also call 952-814-4410. Now, as we talked about the income potential side of things on the last segment, I was actually teaching a class earlier this week, and we were talking about income and wealth. Which is more important? Some people say income, some people say wealth. Well, they are actually equally important, right? But let's talk about the wealth side, because the extra income that you have fills that wealth bucket. But a lot of people just don't have enough. I mean, most people, you need a lump sum for 20 to 40 years, but, people don't save enough for that.
Right. Well, yeah. And that is the case. That's the reason we have a retirement crisis. People aren't saving enough. And what's the reason for that? Well, a lot of people don't have enough after their bills are paid, the cost of staying alive has been covered. There isn't enough left to put into their savings. When you're young, that's kind of, you put that off. You're not thinking about your retirement years when you're in your 20s and you're getting your first nice paycheck.
Yep.
It's hard to learn how to put things away. That's one of the things that we kind of cover is that emotional part, the psychological part. The earlier you start putting things away, the greater the potential benefit of compounding is. But the income, you're right, income, there's two different ways of approaching your financial life. In the pre-retirement years, the income portion of it is the most important. And when you're retired, then you're going to rely on something that was more of a long-term portfolio. But the other thing you have to rely on is income.
Yeah.
Because the income that you relied on while you were working is no longer there. And I think one of the mistakes people make is going into retirement being too conservative, not taking advantage of the opportunities that are out there, and not learning how to generate income off of what they have.
Yeah, the great thing is investors can use futures and Forex during retirement. Because, if you think about it too, the time to learn that is before you retire. So if you're listening right now and you're in your, we'll say 30s, 40s, 50s, or even early 60s, you have time to start learning these techniques and strategies. So if you don't think you have enough for those 20, 30, 40 years of retirement, learn those techniques to have the potential or the opportunity to build income stream. But do that before you retire. But now with people not having enough, we do have a lot of listeners that do have enough, right?
Right.
How does somebody continue to build wealth if they have enough but protect it?
Well, and those are the two key things you just mentioned. One of them is the most important thing, and that's protecting what you have. Regardless of what you are doing from an investment standpoint and when you're doing it, you want to always make sure you are protected. That's that risk management component of it. But you can take it a step further, because in retirement now it's critical that you don't give away some of what you have worked 30 or 40 years for. So is there a way of protecting it? Yeah, there are ways of doing that. One is with the equivalent of a financial insurance policy on your portfolio. You can do that. I'll tell you who's doing it. Warren Buffett's doing it. All of the big players, all the hedge fund managers out there, the professional traders, they know how to do that. It's an easy thing to do. You're just not being taught about it. I just ask yourself this. If you have a financial advisor, how many times have they sat you down and talked about an insurance policy on your portfolio?
I would probably say never.
That would be crickets. And how many times have they talked about strategies specific to you that will help you benefit in a down market?
Maybe once a year, once every 3 years, if ever.
More than likely, the response you'll get is, don't worry about these drawdowns or corrections or crashes, because the market will always come back and you're in it for the long haul. Tell that to somebody who's 75 years old who just saw their portfolio decrease by 40 to 50%. That's not the kind of thing you want to hear. And, and I get really frustrated when I see all this advice coming from Wall Street, and the way that they will advise you to be prepared for retirement is, while you're still working, learn to live on less, cut back a little bit, and when you go into retirement, maybe don't go into retirement when you're 65 or 70 or when you want to. Work a little bit longer. Wait later to collect Social Security. Maybe get a side job. The one thing I very seldom hear is, here, you can retire. You can not have to cut back on things. Here's how we can help you grow your retirement accounts. Here's how we can help you generate income off of them. And by income, I don't mean just drawing it down. Not just taking money out of your retirement account, but growing it. Letting these leveraged assets that we mentioned futures, Forex options are great income sources, and they can be used when you go into retirement. If you set up a self-directed IRA, whether it's a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, you can use those assets in your retirement accounts. They can be used in up markets and down markets. Options can be used in sideways markets. That you have more opportunities. You can be protected, which is pretty hard to do in a regular 401k or 403b. But those are the things that we want you to know that are here for you. They're available. The education is available. The training is available. The resources and the tools to be able to achieve those goals are available to you.
Well, a lot of our listeners, they probably have 401ks and they have been only in up markets. Well, you know what? If you don't understand why the markets are going up, or you don't understand, hopefully your accounts are going up, but now is the time to get in the market and understand that, because we see great opportunities coming in the future here.
Absolutely.
But you have to be able to know how to do that first. We actually have free investing classes, free workshops that we do online. These are 45 minutes, powerful, comprehensive classes. Just go online right now and select a virtual class. Go to otamin.com. Learn more about how to buy at a wholesale price, sell at retail, how to manage and protect your portfolios, or have the potential to learn the skills to build what you have. otamin.com. That's otaminn.com. Or just call 952-814-4410. You mentioned self-directed IRAs, Al. I want to talk a little more about if somebody has capital or money in a retirement account, 401k IRA, and they want to self-direct it. They want to trade things that aren't just a buy and hold like stocks, right? So talk about, how does somebody take their portfolio, utilize options or futures or Forex for income potential, but also using those for protecting that? How do they start doing that?
Well, if you are retired, or for whatever reason you leave a company and you have an employer-sponsored retirement plan there, you can roll that over. If you have a 401k, you can roll it into a self-directed IRA. And one of the first things that you've done by doing that immediately to increase your rate of return is to eliminate fees. Because there are fees. There are fees by the plan sponsor that are taken out of your accounts. There are also fees that are taken out by whoever is managing your money. And typically that's a mutual fund, or maybe the plan sponsor has a portfolio that they put you in. There's a manager there. Typically there are fees of anywhere from 2 to 5% or more that are taken out on an annual basis. And when you retire and you're taking money out, let's say that you take out 4% of what you have in retirement every year for your living expenses. Well, at the same time, the plan sponsor and the manager, they're taking out another 2 to 4%. That pretty quickly can deplete the assets that you have. So by setting up a self-directed IRA, you eliminate those fees. And the cost of actually executing a trade now is almost non-existent. For stock trades, most companies have zero commissions. With Forex, the foreign exchange market, zero commissions. Options, most of the companies now, you can get into an options position for under $1. The cost is almost non-existent there. But you can use these leveraged assets in those IRA accounts to boost the potential returns you have. You can have a smaller account, but still participate in a much larger investment, which gives you greater potential for a much higher rate of return. You protect yourselves by using an option strategy that we teach our students that acts as an insurance policy. And you can use that. You can actually protect your portfolios without having to sell anything. A lot of people have emotional positions that they want to hold on to, or maybe high-paying dividend stocks that are worth holding on to. But you can have all of those protected. So even if the value of them goes down, your overall portfolio won't go down, or won't go down as much.
And as I was talking about, we're talking about some different terminology, especially like the futures market. Some people may have heard about that. That's your commodities: gold,
Right.
oil, silver. We talked about gold and oil already today. Lean hogs. You have your greens, corn, the S&P 500. These different assets have leverage. Same thing with the Forex market.
Sure.
You're trading one currency against another. So don't be confused about the new terminology. It's just prices on a chart, and that's how we teach our students at Online Trading Academy, the sponsor of Investing with Confidence, is how to use those price charts, utilize the right asset based on the capital that you do have, but also the right time to do that. Because if you think about it, most of our listeners probably work during the day. The
Hmm.
futures market, the Forex market open 24 hours
Right.
per day. So you have the opportunity, even in your retirement accounts, to do that any time of day. I mean, because a lot of people say, well, when I'm in retirement, I don't want to be stuck to managing my accounts, right?
Sure.
Well, you are going to be the best steward of your money, but utilize the right asset that gives you the opportunity to dictate when you do that, whether it's the morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, however you like to do things. These are 24-hour markets. We talked a little bit about the cryptocurrency market. That's a 24/7 market. That actually never closes. And just talking about Bitcoin for a second, Bitcoin is actually coming out with the very first
That's
ETF
correct. Mhm.
for cryptocurrencies. And that's going to be, I think they're talking about potentially next week. There's an opportunity to get into the cryptocurrency market with ETFs.
Right.
So it's just understanding how to do that. We cover all that stuff in these investing classes. They're comprehensive, powerful, 45-minute free classes that we do virtually. They're live, so you can do this from your own home, talking about how to use the market for income potential, for different ways to protect your life savings, have the potential for better returns. But the key, I think, is minimizing and hopefully eliminating fees as much as you can in your retirement accounts. So go to otamin.com right now. When you do that, you're going to get a free cryptocurrency class, but also that's in the financial quick start kit, which will help you get started right away. Go to otamin.com. That's otaminn.com. Or you can just call 952-814-4410. That's 952-814-4410. Pick a date for this investing class. We do several per day, and these are virtual. You can do from home. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the life of a trader. We're going to talk
Mhm.
about the fun things about trading and investing. Coming up next, this is Josh and Al. We'll be right back. Minute and a half. Welcome back to Investing with Confidence. I am your host, Joshua David, and we are talking about and helping our listeners understand more about these financial markets. We talk about all the different asset classes, futures, Forex, options, stocks, and they're all taught by our sponsor, Online Trading Academy, a world leader in trading and investing education, teaching people all those different assets, whether you're looking for income potential with the markets, or maybe you're just looking to protect and grow your retirement bucket, 401ks, IRAs, whatever that market is, it doesn't matter. Our
Right.
sponsor, Online Trading Academy, teaches the skills for that, and they start with investing classes. They do virtually. You can do from home. They're 45 minutes to get started. These are comprehensive, powerful classes on the markets, how they work, how you can get started with these markets to make smarter investing decisions. You can make it easy. Just go to otamin.com. That's otaminn.com. and register for one of these free classes virtually. Learn about the different techniques to protect yourself from inflation, how to use the markets for income potential. But I think the most important thing is really some of those mistakes that novice investors make, but how to actually minimize them. OTAMIN.com. That's OTAMINN.com. Or you can just call 952-814-4410. So, Al, I wanted to have a little fun now. I was listening to the commercial just a couple seconds ago, and they're talking about it's fun getting lost in all that corn, right? Well, let's talk about the fun things of trading, the fun things of investing, how fun it actually can be. Not because, I mean, a lot of people just think about capital, that M word we're not supposed to talk about. We're not supposed to talk about money, right? Well, you know what? Let's talk about the fun things and what it actually has the potential to do for people. But it takes a strategy that gives you that opportunity. A strategy that is step by step, rules based. So you just have to follow those rules. And then the computer actually executes that for you. So let's talk about real quick, Al, the life of a trader or investor.
Well, you know what? One day might be that person in the corn maze, and somebody might say, "Well, aren't you investing? You're retired now. You're investing. How can you be out here in the corn maze?" And your answer should be, "Yeah, I am investing right now. I am investing, and I don't have to be there to watch what I'm doing because I have followed a strategy that allows me to preset something and know that if I'm right, my profit's protected. Know that if I'm wrong, I have a small loss, just a minimal hit to my investment, which is, you're going to, no matter who invests your money, whether you give it to Warren Buffett, he's still going to have losses. And he knows how to control them. The big institutions do. And that's the key is to make sure that you're already set. You have your trade set so you don't have to be there watching it. And if you're right, you're in the trade and your profit's protected. If you're wrong, you have a small loss. And we show our students how to set trades where the reward risk ratio is set in a way where they don't have to be right every time. You can be wrong 75% of the time and still break even with the right risk reward strategy. And here's the important thing, Josh. We've talked about stock. We've talked about futures. We talked about the foreign exchange market, the options market, and people are thinking, well, I've got to have a different strategy for everything. This is so confusing. Well, we've really worked hard at simplifying this as much as possible so you use the same strategy and the same set of rules, a step-by-step process that follows a set of rules for every asset, no matter what you're trading, no matter whether you are participating in an up market or a down market. That simplifies things. Not only does it simplify it, it walks you down. It's sort of like somebody taking my hand and walking me through that corn maze.
Guiding you.
It walks me from the entry to the exit, which is where I want to be. Well, you should have a plan that shows where you are now and where you want to be in the future, and then your plan should identify the right asset to help you get there. But this strategy I'm talking about is part of our core strategy that is actually built into a trading analysis and education platform called Click, which we give our students to use. And that makes you follow those steps. And if you follow those steps, at the end, it's going to tell you with a quality rating whether this is a trade that is worth taking. And if it's not, it's going to come up with a warning and saying, hey, this violates your parameters, because the Click is going to be customized to you. If you try to put a trade together, investment together that exceeds your risk, the amount of money that you're willing to risk in any trade, it tells you that. If you're trying to put too many shares together, too many contracts together, it tells you that. It keeps you out of trouble, which you'll get into if you don't have some way of controlling those emotions. That's what a plan should do. That's what following a set of rules, a step-by-step process will do for you. But you use the same one for any asset you do. It's just you're just plugging in a different name, whether it's a futures contract, a Forex contract, or an options contract.
Think about that for a second. If you had the opportunity to have something, which is a platform, guides you through your investment decisions, that would make it a heck of a lot more comfortable. I mean, I like to snowmobile and I like to go out to the mountains. And I tell you what, I will not go in the mountains without a guide. A guide can keep you safe from avalanches. They guide you through the right places to go, but also the fun places to go where you can go play in the snow. We'll have a platform like Click that our sponsor, Online Trading Academy, has to guide you through your investment decisions, really to make smarter investing decisions. Learn these tools that the institutions are using. That this is what, they're using proper step-by-step strategies and tools. Use that for income potential, but it's all about having a little bit of fun and letting that computer execute it for you. You don't have to be a computer scientist to do this, or a rocket computer scientist. What's that term? But you know what? You can learn those techniques and skills. All you got to do is start. It starts in these free comprehensive investing classes. They're only 45 minutes. You can do it from home. So select a class right now by going online to otamin.com. That's otamin.com. Pick a date for this class. You're going to get a financial quick start kit just for attending. You can also text the word invest to the number 484848. You can pick a date for that virtual class. The great thing about that, Al, is a lot of people like to do that from the comfort of their own home.
Wouldn't that be
Tell
nice?
you what,
From that old Barcalounger, right?
yeah, anybody has the opportunity to do that. So, Al, we kind of kicked the show off here today with stocks, but stocks are pretty darn expensive right now. What is that asset class that you can utilize to buy stock at a discount?
Well, there's a number of things that you can do. Options is the asset that you're talking about. You look at it this way: you can actually get paid cash today to wait until something goes down in price to where you think it's a value, or you can get paid to wait until something goes up to a point where you feel like you want to sell it to make your profit. Those are ways of getting some additional income using the option strategy. But also, it allows you, with a much smaller amount of money, to control 100 or more shares of a stock. Each option contract controls 100 shares of a stock. Apple, for example, is trading right in the $140 range right now. It's come down. It was up around 157, 158, went down into the low 140s, and it's in 140 range right now. That means 100 shares of Apple would cost you $14,000. Well, there are options at different prices based on the particular option position, but you might be able to control those 100 shares for $400 or $500 or $600 or $300. You have the opportunity to participate in stocks that are priced at a point where it might keep you out of it if you're just looking at buying the stock, but you can still control the movement of that stock for a much lower amount of money. You've reduced your risk, and you have a position that has unlimited upside.
Yeah, so basically you're buying stock at a discount. You're controlling shares. You don't own them. You don't need to own them.
No.
For instance, Apple, as I was talking about, it closed on Friday at $140 per share, $144.84. To buy 1,000 shares of that, you need that physical capital.
Right.
So it's utilizing your capital wisely, buying stock at a discount. As I was talking about, there's opportunities to get paid a premium to wait for price to get in. So if you feel Apple, hey, let's go back to Facebook for a second for our YouTube listeners. If you're looking at Facebook and you think price is going to continue to go down, investors have the opportunity to do an option strategy. So if price is at $324 per share with Facebook, and they say, you know what, I like it at $300. There's option strategies to get paid a premium to wait till it gets in there, and then that's where you buy, which is at a lower price anyway. So these techniques and strategies, they're not new. They're just different. Right. More opportunities for the average investor to be comfortable and confident getting into the markets, but using less capital, because that's what leverage is using less capital. Al, we talk a lot about that. We actually go into more details on how to combat inflation by using the options market for income potential, just like the institutions do. That's what they're utilizing. So call 952-814-4410 for this investing class that we do online. Call it a workshop. It's 45 minutes. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. They're powerful, comprehensive classes to learn how the stock market works. Options, futures, Forex, using a 24-hour market. Go to otamin.com. That's otamin.com. These are live classes. We do several per day. I think we have a couple today and I believe 2 or 3 tomorrow. So heck, if you want to learn how to do that after the Vikings game, hop on one of these classes, but you got to go online right now to otamin.com and register. You can also, I'm going to give a text right now. Nobody likes to call these days. Let's give a text number of 484848 and just say the keyword invest. So text invest to the number 484848. You're going to get a link back to pick a date for this workshop from home. It's only 45 minutes. Al, you always have some great tips. We talked about different tips with different assets. This week, I want you to give the OTA tip of the week.
Okay, well, you know what, Josh? Unfortunately, too many people accept where they are is where they're meant to be. So ask yourself this: are you okay with where you are now financially? And if not, would you like to change that? It's clear to us that most financial issues and shortfalls are just simply a result of lack of knowledge of finances and the financial markets. The markets and financial opportunities capitalized by Wall Street are available to all of us. You know, the good news is that proper education and the development of the skills to use it are also available to all of us, allowing us to take control of our financial life and do that with confidence.
You know, it takes a little bit of action, though. The great thing is we're making it easy for everybody to get into these investing classes online. You can just go to otamin.com. It's the website, otaminn.com. Pick one of these dates for classes. We have several per day. They're only 45 minutes. You know what? Do that after the Gophers game or maybe even after the Vikings game tomorrow. This is Josh Adele. As always, same time, same place next week. Until then, retire young, my friend.